What's up, my hunting brothers and sisters? I'm out here shooting some arrows at my range tonight. Bear shaft, just checking a bear shaft with my regular shafts, and I'm right there. That's a 30-yard group. So this video you're about to see, we're going to dive into where I go in fall food plots. And my fall food plot work starts much earlier in the year. This video is a compilation over about a 5 to 6 week period of time, and it really is only a part one. So sit tight, check it out. You can put in some awesome food plots for not a lot of money. So just like probably the majority of you, for the last decade or so, one of the things that I've wanted to do more than anything is hunt over food plots for whitetails, just like you see all the big names on TV doing. But the problem is, for the majority of us, there's two major sticking points. One is land. You gotta have the land to put in food plots. So if you're a public land hunter, probably just need to skip to another video. But if you can get the land part down, whether buying your own land, which we all know is expensive, or leasing land and working something out with the owner, or maybe you've got a friend or a relative that has land and you can sit down and talk to them and say, hey, I would like to put in a little food plot and get this going, you can tackle the land issue. The second big hurdle, though, is money. Food plots like you see on TV and all the big name hunting shows cost money. We all know they do. There's input costs when it comes to seed, when it comes to fertilizer, when it comes to chemicals to kill vegetation, fuel, wear and tear on equipment. And then there's the huge capital cost of equipment as well. I don't have the money to buy some gigantic four-wheel drive tractor. I don't have the money to buy a no-till drill or a corn planter or heavy disking equipment or whatever. So I'm here to tell you that what I've learned in the last 10 or so years since I started doing a quote-unquote poor man's food plot is you don't need big, heavy, expensive equipment to do it. You can do it with some very basic items. Four-wheeler. Get yourself a used four-wheeler. Spreader of some sort. It can be a hand spreader, it can be a blower spreader, it can be a pull-behind spreader, it can be a push spreader. Something to mow with. It can be a push mower. It can be a little pull behind mower behind your four-wheeler. It can be a weed eater. It can be a bush hog mower if you've got one. It can be a utility tractor. You can use garden tractors. There's all kinds of tools that, yes, they have a capital expense to them, but you can start at this level, move to that level, move to that level, and add to it over time. Myself, I learned several years ago. In 2005, I bought myself a 2003 Honda Rancher four-wheeler. Got a deal on it, bought it off of a farmer used. It's been like a crescent wrench for me. It's been invaluable when it comes to food plots. As I bought property and got a bigger yard, I bought a utility tractor. It's been invaluable to me. I found a guy alongside the road selling a 4-foot wide disc. I found a guy along the road selling a 3-foot wide or 3.5-foot wide roller, spreaders. So all of my equipment is relatively inexpensive, and I build it over a 10+ year period of time. So the first plot I'm going to show you here is one I do here at my house every year. And all I'm doing in that plot there is last year I overseeded a bunch of clover and a bunch of rye and oats in it. I let the clover and rye and oats come up. Does it look perfect? No, but it works real good and it's a great attractant. So I got out my little tractor and I got out my little disc and I ripped up a row and I'm planting a screen in there. That screen's gonna get to be 10 to 12 foot tall. I did it last year, it's awesome. And the deer get in that food plot and they feel safe. The next food plot I'm gonna show you is on property that I own. This year we had so much rain, farmers can't get in the fields, so my acreage here that's farm ground isn't getting planted this year. Well, last year it was standing corn. So last year I broadcast into standing corn in about September. Clover, rye, and oats, and some rape in there and stuff. It was a nice little food plot after the corn came off, But what happened was, this year it's awesome. The clover's taken off, the rye took off, the oats took off. I overseeded some free soybeans. I got free soybeans from my NRCS office because they have a little food plot program. They work with Pheasants Forever. I broadcast into it, I rolled it, and now it's all popping up. It's absolutely incredible. Then I got on my utility tractor with my little 4-foot disc again, and I ripped up a perimeter, and I did the same screening planting, and I just did that the other day. So that screening you're usually going to do in late June, early July. So the third food plot I'm really excited about. It was a new one that I did last year. Last year it was maybe 20 yards by 30 yards, and that's big. It was probably smaller than that. And on that one there, what I had done was I took my small brush hog and I mowed down some grass, and I did that in probably mid-June. And then I went out in late July and I sprayed what was left with Roundup, killed it all off. And then I came back in August and I broadcast in there some rape and some clover, if I recall, and I might have done some oats, I can't remember. But anyways, I broadcasted in, I took my weed eater in there, I weed eated all the dead stubble that had grown up between June and the end of July when I sprayed it, and I gave myself a thatching kind of mat in there. It did pretty well. I would say it grew maybe less than 50%, but I only had in seed maybe $20–25 in seed in it. So this year I went in and I mowed a much larger area. Now I've got an area that's probably 30 yards by at least 40 yards, and it actually may be bigger than that. My next course of action is I will go in and I'll spray it again in late August or late July, and then mid-August or so I'll go in there and I'm going to probably plant some rape, I'm going to plant some clover in there, I'm going to plant some oats, possibly some turnips. We'll see what my mix is, but I'm going to have maybe $25–30 in seed that goes into it, and I'm going to do the same thing. I can't get equipment in there because I got crops all around it. So I'm going to go in with a weed eater and I'm going to mow all that stubble down with a weed eater, let the thatch fall on it, that thatch holds water, and everything pops up. So those are my big 3 food plots. I do have one inside my woods as well that's growing clover. It looks pretty good. That one there I'm probably going to leave alone as clover. I'll go in there and I'll put some nitrogen, some urea on it, and see how it does. I'll do that right before rain. That's another thing that I do is I go down to my local co-op and I take 2 or 3 5-gallon pails and I have them fill them up with urea. It's I believe 4600, and I think 3 5-gallon pails they usually charge me $15 for, and I go out and I put it in my seeder and I spread it out over those right before rain, usually about 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks after my food plots have really started to come up. I'm going to do a phase 2 video that runs from probably about the 1st of August through maybe the first week or 2 of September, that steps through all these processes, because I don't really think that you can get it all out of a 5 or 10 minute video that encompasses everything. So this is going to be a 2-part video. So at the end of the second part, then hopefully you now understand how you can put in some awesome food plots with not a lot of money, and you can build this over time. I didn't get here just this year. I mean, I'm not going to go out and buy a 4-wheeler and a tractor and a disc and a roller and different types of seeders and all that in 1 year. Just over time, just did it. And now I've gotten a nice little collection of still relatively inexpensive equipment, and I don't like breaking the ground. I rarely disc things up, so I like doing it the poor man's way and broadcasting on down, rolling or mowing and getting a thatch build up and things pop. You can do food plots pretty inexpensive, and it's amazing how good they look. Do they look as good as the big name TV show food plots that you see, or the food plots you see in magazines or on websites of all these different food plot seed suppliers? No. But do they look good enough that Mr. Big Buck or a bunch of does and fawns and turkeys want to come in and have some snacks during season and hopefully get a shot? Yeah, they look really good to them. So again, I hope you enjoyed this. I really want to encourage you to get out there. You don't have to have a huge budget. You can do this on a small budget. I don't want people to be discouraged because they think that they've got to spend $50,000 in equipment to have a food plot over so that they can shoot a decent deer. You don't have to. I mean, last year I bet in input costs, I didn't probably have $50 in all of my food plots. Yeah, I've got some equipment that I've acquired over time, but I really don't have that much money invested in it. So get out there, start small, put some sweat equity into what you're doing, and grow some food plots to bring some deer in front of your stand this fall. Good luck and God bless. Sit back, and in a couple months, part 2 of this is going to come out, and I hope that it continues to encourage you to put in poor man's food plots so you can increase your success in the field. As always, check out all of the links that I've got in my videos. Hit that subscribe button. God bless, and it's a new day in the outdoors.